G'day guys, Shawnee from Life in Tennis. In today's video I'll be talking about the final round of my Pennant season, round 14. So yeah, final round. I only played singles this week. I think in my last video I mentioned that I was playing doubles only, but we changed that kind of last minute, decided that we'd mix up the team lineup and I would play singles at number 4 and the other guy that was meant to play at number 4, Max, would play doubles with my mate Rick. So yeah, interesting decision there, but in the end I think it was probably a good decision because the team that we played, Vermont South, in the final round are the top of the ladder team, and we actually are playing them next week in the first round of finals, which I'll get to. But yeah, I'll do a little summary of the match. So yeah, essentially I knew I was going to have my work cut out for me. I was playing a guy called Robert Carpio, who's a very aggressive player, but also very, very good technique. I feel like he's either a coach or was a coach because he just had really, really good feel on the ball. And yeah, very aggressive player, definitely took it to me. Like, he wasn't the kind of player that would just sit around in a rally and wait for me to miss. He wanted to sort of take it to me, but at the same time it was very tricky conditions, windy and wet, so that definitely, I think, changed both of our strategies throughout the match. We were definitely slicing a lot more, and drop shots coming into the net became a very common theme, a very common tactic for both of us. So yeah, look, I ended up losing the match 8-4 because it was a superset, first to 8 games, but I would say that it could have easily gone the other way. I really do believe that. I didn't have the best start. I mean, I went down 5-1 pretty quickly, or not quickly, but I went down 5-1 with lots of opportunities to hold serve and to break serve. Even the very first game, I was love 40 and then I got it to juice. And then I lost, I think, 2 points in a row to then drop that game. And yeah, pretty much the next 4 games, I basically got nearly every game to juice, or at least had break points or game points in nearly every game, and just couldn't convert. But Robert was very good he didn't give you another sniff. He was that kind of player that if he was able to snuff out one of the chances, he wouldn't give you another shot at trying to break him or, holding serve, basically. So yeah, 5-1 down, staring at the barrel. Funnily enough, I actually broke his serve in the second game at 1-1, but then lost 4 in a row, and I was not looking too good at that point. But the fun thing is, the match could have easily turned on its head from 5-1 down, because I ended up holding serve, and I at 5-2 had a break point opportunity, a really clear opportunity to break his serve. The point we played a point out, he had a slice down the line, just missed it wide. He actually missed the ball, and then when he went to pick up the ball, I didn't see him make a call, so I thought he was gonna essentially give me the game because I thought I'd won the point. But then he said, "Oh no, I put my hand up, it was out." So he was actually a really nice guy, quite a nonchalant sort of guy. He was quite softly spoken, so it was very hard to tell some of the line calls at times, but at the same time, I trust his judgment. I think he was a very fair player. But that was a crucial point, because if I'd won that point, it would have been 5-3. I ended up holding serve the next game, so it would have been 5-4, and it would have been game on. I really feel like it would have been game on, because basically from 5-1, I won 3 of the next 6 games. So basically we won 3 games each. But I think I've definitely felt that the momentum kind of shifted in my favour in the middle part of the match. And as I said, if I converted that break point and held serve to get it to 5-4, I would have been pretty confident in my chances to then at least get it to, say, a tiebreak or keep it really close. Because at 5-2, if I'd, as I said, broken serve, it would have been 5-3, so only a 2-game differential, and then held serve 5-4. Whereas because I lost that game, it went from 5-2 to 6-2. And then I ended up holding serve, but then 6-3, it's still a 3-game differential, so it's still quite a big hill to climb from that point. And he probably felt pretty confident that he only needed to win 2 more games after that. So yeah, look, overall, pretty pleased with how I played. I actually feel like I adjusted really well to the conditions. I didn't think I necessarily would. In the past, I always hated wind and rain, obviously. We played through rain at club level. I think if it had gone to the point where it was pouring rain, we wouldn't have played. But it's not like the pros where, a drop of rain and they're going inside and they're postponing the match. But yeah, we sort of decided that, if it was just going to be spitting rain, then we just play. We're not, we're only playing grade 4 Pennant, right? So Yeah, but overall, pretty happy with how I played. As I said, I definitely feel like I adjusted pretty well in the conditions considering, and I was playing a very tough opponent. So yeah, moving on to the positives for the match. So the positives were I felt like I had a really solid game plan against Robert. As I said, started to use his game plan against him. I was slicing the backhand, I was drop shotting and coming into the net quite effectively. And also I was being very aggressive on my serve and my forehand. So it was like a bit of a yin and yang, like aggressive on my ground strokes or on my forehand particularly, but finesse at times as well, given that the ball wasn't bouncing very high, especially given the wet courts and the wind as well. It was tricky. So I think using slice, mixing up the spins was key. So that was one real positive. The second positive I would say is how I was able to claw my way back into the match from being 5-1 down. Definitely felt like it could have easily lost it for 8-1 as well. So I adjusted well despite not having the best start. And as I said, my game plan I think was pretty solid against Robert. I definitely feel like he's probably, if he had a weakness, it was his movement. His movement was still very good, but there were a few times where I would come into the net, for example, and I didn't have to hit that good a volley or a drop volley, for example, or even a drop shot that he wouldn't be able to chase that ball down. So, but yeah, he was very solid off both wings and decent serve, a decent volleyer as well. Like he did everything pretty well, but yeah, maybe the movement was something I could have exploited a little bit better. If I was to look at the room for improvements, the first thing I'd say, the obvious one, is I had a very slow start, and a lot of that was to do with the fact that I was trying to be a little bit too aggressive too early, trying to finish points, or just I wasn't necessarily that sure of my game plan. I was still trying to figure him out, because in the warm-up he was just belting the ball, and then as soon as we started he was hitting slices kind of like in the middle of the court. So I was like, what's this? This is different to how you were hitting the ball in the warm-up. So it kind of threw me a bit, and I definitely gave him too many cheap points early on, and it took me a while to actually figure out what my strategy was. So I think just being able to adjust a little bit better, and probably the best way to do that is to work my way into the match slowly rather than trying to be, ultra aggressive. But I know it's something I'm working on, because it does tend to be the theme of my matches this season, is that I do tend to not have the best starts, but then I usually work my way into it. So I've got to find a way to start a match better, so I don't have to come back, from being 3 or 4 games down essentially. But I think a lot of that is to do with just playing a very consistent game plan and just waiting for the error and then figuring out what my strategy is going to be from that point, or at least upping the ante, like upping the aggression as the match goes on. So that's probably the biggest room for improvement. Apart from that, overall, I was hitting the ball pretty well, both sides. Maybe at times I was trying to come into the net and my volleys were, I didn't maybe execute them perfectly, or I was coming into the net off a really tricky approach shot. So that's probably something, is be a little bit smarter when I'm approaching the net. But at the same time, he was making it difficult, because I wasn't prepared to sit on the baseline and rally with him, because he was a very aggressive player. So I knew I had to kind of shorten the points. And that's actually, I do feel like that's a bit of a strength of mine, is the variety in my game. And I've been working a lot on coming to the net and shortening points. So yeah, I think it was the right call, but maybe I was doing it too much, or I was coming to the net off the wrong shots essentially. So yeah, they're my main room for improvements. But yeah, just to summarize the day, the team, we lost 5-1. So look, it sounds like a walloping, and it was, I guess. But it could have easily gone the other way, in all honesty. The main difference, I think, really was the doubles. They started off winning both doubles, and we had chances to win potentially both of them, because the number 1 doubles pair won their first set, and I think it was pretty even in the second set. And then they just, one of their players, I won't mention who, one of our players had a little bit of a lapse in concentration and focus, and dropped off a little bit towards the end of the second set. So ended up losing that set, and then the super tiebreak was like 10-4. So the momentum shifted in the opponent's favour. That was a very winnable match. And then our number 2 pair lost 6-3, 7-6. But in the second set, they were 3-1 up and even had a set point, I think it's 6-5 up. So that could have easily gone to a third set, and they could have won that. So potentially, if you look at it, we could have easily won both doubles, which would have made it 2 rubbers to 0, and then The only rubber we won was our number 3 singles player. So that would have been, potentially the day could have finished like 3-all, 3 rubbers each, which would have made it super interesting. And I think if we'd won both doubles, all of us would have been really confident going into our singles matches. So, who knows? It could have changed the complexion of the day. But yeah, in the end, they're a very strong team, and we are playing them again next week. Great bunch of blokes, but we have decided to switch up the lineup this time. So I'm playing doubles only with my partner Rick, and we're basically having the number 4 singles player playing at number 3, and then shifting everyone down to 2, 3, and 4. So that'll be very, very interesting. I'll let you guys know how that goes. And we're playing away at Vermont South, so playing on Ontacar, which will be very tough. But every match is a best of 2 set match with a 3rd set super tiebreak. So if it's 1 set all, you play a 3rd set super tiebreak. And for both singles and doubles. So it will mean that it'll be, a long day, and it should be a lot of fun, but we're going to give it our absolute best against the top team, and really the benchmark team of our section, and potentially of the grade. They're one of the better teams in grade 4. So we'll have a work cut out for us, but we're looking forward to the challenge, so can't wait. But anyway guys, that's it from me. I'm always keen to hear how your tournaments and club competitions are going, so please comments below, and otherwise like and subscribe for more life and tennis related content. Cheers guys.